Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Erik Voss, and what exactly happened to the universe of Wolverine in Deadpool and Wolverine? The newest trailer indicates that Logan's world went to shit, with mysterious shots of Logan beside a row of gravestones in a surreal wheat field, and it remains a mystery of how exactly Wolverine failed the fellow X-Men of his universe. But I rewatched this trailer for like a 20th time, and I think I figured out what we've all been missing. And please support us by grabbing one of our merch designs from nerdriot.shop, like our amazing new Portal tee and its alternative red band Let's Fucking Go variant. Okay, so we know the Wolverine from this trailer with the yellow and the blue suit comes from some X-Men universe where things ended in ruin. He growls at Deadpool.
Not my problem.
Is that what you said when your world went to shit?
And then later, TVA agent Paradox says,
"This Wolverine let down his entire world."
So we've been asking what universe Logan comes from. Is it some point in the continuity between the events of X-Men Days of Future Past, which ended in the year 2024 in the revised timeline, and then in the point of history that we saw in 2017 Logan that was set in the year 2029? Like, how closely can we look at the gray hairs in Hugh Jackman's head and figure out where he is in his history? Or are we looking at Wolverine from just a completely different universe, like the X-Men universe that Monica Rambeau ended up in at the end of the Marvels, where there was an X-Mansion and a Beast played by Kelsey Grammer and a mention of a Charles Xavier, and everyone and everything in that universe seemed to match the design of the X-Men animated series that Marvel Studios has now resurrected with X-Men 97, which would make sense with the bright yellow and blue suit that Logan is now wearing. But I think by asking what universe he comes from, we might be asking the wrong question. Really, we should ask the question, where is Logan at in his life path? What is it about the Wolverine character to the Fox films and to Ryan Reynolds and to Marvel Studios looking back on his timeline that is the most important to explore now in this movie? And where is he now? Like, what are we actually looking at? That is the question we should be asking. Now, some are speculating that with the appearance of the giant corpse of Ant-Man, a reference to the Old Man Logan comic series, that could be a clue that Wolverine's failure in this movie could be what it was in Old Man Logan. And that was, Wolverine was brainwashed by Mysterio into thinking his fellow X-Men were villains, and Wolverine slaughtered them all. And I think that's a completely valid take on what could be happening in this movie. We do see Wolverine walking by a row of what are probably X-Men headstones, and maybe he's looking at them and be like, oh my god, I actually killed all my friends. But I'm not certain that that is what happened here. I mean, for starters, it would give way too much power to Mysterio, a character whose film rights are still very much owned by Sony, and I don't think Deadpool and Wolverine scripts could even reference by name Mysterio without paying a hefty royalty fee to Sony and complicating their deal to share the Spider-Man character. It's just, we keep thinking that these movies are going to adapt Old Man Logan directly, and as cool as the comic series that is, that's not what they're doing here. Now, if they did want to adapt the Old Man Logan storyline in that way, they could reassign the whole brainwashing plot from Mysterio to Cassandra Nova. Cassandra Nova basically has the powers of Charles Xavier and could easily plant false visions in someone's mind. But in the trailer, when Wolverine confronts Cassandra Nova, he seems unfamiliar with her power set. He looks caught by surprise when she telekinetically puppets his claws into his leg. Also, from what we know of Cassandra Nova in the E is for Extinction storyline, she's just a far more dangerous force than someone who would just trick Wolverine into doing her work for her. I won't rule out that Cassandra has or will weaponize Wolverine in this movie. I mean, everyone likes to use him as like a weapon. That's like his whole thing. I just don't think this is how Wolverine let down his entire world, according to the TVA and to Paradox. Really, I think this Wolverine's world suffered from an incursion. And I think that's what we've been getting wrong in our videos about this trailer, is that this wasteland filled with cameos and Easter eggs is not the Void, the dumping ground of the TVA and Loki. It's really the aftermath of Wolverine's world after an incursion destroyed it. I wasn't really sure about this before, and I'm sorry for referring to it as the Void with such authority. I just always knew there was something off about it because the landscape is dry and dusty, whereas the landscape of the Void is grassy. Our assumption that it was the Void came from the sightings of Alioth and the fact that both the Void and this wasteland are littered with meta Easter eggs. But let's remember what Alioth technically is, according to He Who Remains in Loki Season 1 Episode 6.
A creature created from all the tears in reality, capable of consuming time and space itself. A creature you both know.
Alioth.
Bingo.
Ah, there it is. Alioth is a creature formed from the tears in reality that consumes time and space itself. The fact that Alioth is colored purple could align with other MCU production design choices that depict tears in the fabric of reality with the color purple. Spider-Man No Way Home, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness when Clea tears open the portal, and the Marvels when Dar-Benn rips open a hole into the X-Men universe that Monica Rambeau goes through. So Alioth, therefore, is not unique to the Void. Alioth can be anywhere an incursion happens. So I think we might need to stop looking at at this wasteland in Deadpool and Wolverine as the Void, and therefore governed by the Loki TVA logic, and instead look at it as a post-Incursion universe, a battlefield where one side has lost, something on the scale of the eroding universe of Sinister Strange in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. That was a surrealist New York with waves washing up on the streets and a field of bones leading to a broken Sanctum Sanctorum, but it did contain at least one meta reference. You might remember the floating yellow Oldsmobile Delta 88, the car that Sam Raimi puts in nearly all of his films, as the car that Ash drives in The Evil Dead and the car that Uncle Ben drives in the first Spider-Man film. If you've ever worn a ring, you know how personal your ring can be. A lot of jewelry is for others to see, but there's something about a ring that makes it feel like it's for you to wear. Your ring better be something that really feels right, and nobody makes rings perfect for your personality quite like Gentle Bands. Gentle Bands has been using unconventional materials to make rings since 2017. Why make a ring from a plain band of metal when you can use an ancient meteorite, retired spacecraft titanium, or dinosaur fossils instead? And now Gentle Bands is a ring perfect for Marvel nerds, the Iron Will. I mean, even the packaging is cool. Let's take a look. I mean, look at that baby. Ooh la la. So the Iron Will ring is forged from a sleeve of tungsten carbide with an inlay of genuine iron wood, two materials that are known for durability to withstand the test of decades. And I speak here as a Marvel fan, this is so cool. Iron Man was the movie that made Marvel into what it is today. I know it sounds cheesy, but I love my life and I wouldn't have my life without Marvel, so this ring is really meaningful to me. And if you're somebody who works with your hands and you can't wear a ring, Gentle Bands offers this chain, so you can keep your ring close to you even when you can't have it on your finger. Gentle Bands is currently offering free engraving on all orders, so go to gentlebands.com and use the code NEWROCKSTARS to get a special 25% discount on your new favorite ring today. Now, looking at it this way could explain why most of those alive in this wasteland come from the Fox era, Universe 10005. Pyro, Toad, Lady Deathstrike, Sabretooth, Azazel, Callisto. In the background is the Golden Gate Bridge that would have been left over from X-Men The Last Stand. And of course, we see a version of Wolverine himself. But we also have to realize that incursions are also messy. And as such, the wasteland would be littered with stuff from other universes as well. The corpse of Giant Man, Red Skull's V16 coupe, but with an Iron Man hood ornament and Tony Stark hot rod paint job. And of course, whatever universe Cassandra Nova is from. I just think the idea is that, without realizing it, Universe 616, and I'm calling it 616 here because that's what Marvel Studios is calling the main MCU, not because I agree with them in this instance, but Universe 616 already won a multiverse war against another Fox X-Men universe, and Incursion destroyed it, and its landscape was left strewn with the waste product anomalies that both universes didn't have room for. Characters who were supposed to have died in the Fox X-Men films, including Pyro, Lady Deathstrike, Sabretooth, Toad, and the rest, and other random off-brand MCU stuff like Dead Giant Man and the Iron Man V16. Eliath would be the byproduct of that incursion, whose job is to digest all of this waste. Normally that process wouldn't take this long, but maybe because these survivors have a Cassandra Nova with them, they figured out this tool that uses a focus dish powered with the Bifrost that continually keeps their digestive system at bay, giving the multiverse chronic indigestion. So this shot of Logan in the wheat field with the monuments could be part of this post-incursion landscape, but I think it could also just be a separate moment for the film, either a dream sequence or that haunting third act flashback, or like Cassandra Nova blasting him into the astral plane. So why is Wolverine blamed for this incursion if incursions are just a natural death spiral of the multiverse? I think the way Wolverine let down his entire world was by dying. I think this third Deadpool film, for it to properly be a Deadpool and Wolverine movie, must explore what these two characters have in common, and that is a healing ability that renders them effectively immortal. While everyone dies around them, these two are supposed to live on and be eternal mourners. But in 2017's Logan, James Mangold broke that. Wolverine finally dies. Now, I think this movie isn't ultimately going to retcon that death, but it was such a powerful moment that made this X-Men universe vulnerable to incursion. Without their anchor, it didn't stand a chance against other universes. And yes, it does look like this movie is going to display that idea with an additional layer of meta context by suggesting that by losing Hugh Jackman Wolverine that was so deadly to the Fox X-Men franchise that all of 20th Century Fox got devoured by Disney in this incursion conflict. So when Logan died in that film, remember, he says,
This is what it feels like.
And in the script, they included the words, "a flicker of wonder," right at the moment of his death. And Hugh Jackman conveyed that so perfectly. That flicker of wonder, I think, left the door open for something beyond this moment. And I think this film, Deadpool and Wolverine, is gonna provide that something and make that death and the 2017 film matter even more to all of us. Now, I think we're gonna learn that that death might have triggered an anomaly or a paradox where other fallen characters from Universe 10005 ended up in this kind of post-Incursion wasteland with scraps of the Fox franchise and the MCU, and ultimately, according to the TVA, there should not have been this Left Behind pocket universe like this indigestion, but the wrong combination of leftovers were able to kind of get together and fight for survival, and it's all because a Wolverine out there dying created a paradox. Like Cassandra Nova, I think, is not the villain of this movie. Paradox is the villain. The mission of this movie is for Deadpool and Wolverine to prove Paradox wrong when he said that line. That Wolverine's death in Logan didn't need to be reversed. It needs to be held up and honored and protected, even if it means chunks of the multiverse continue to collide in a chain reaction that will eventually lead to Battle World and to Secret Wars. Comment down below with your thoughts on this theory. Follow me at EA Voss. Subscribe to all 3 channels of the New Rockstars Network for breakdowns and news coverage of everything you love. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.